You wake up every day, go through the motions of life and follow the rules set by others. But deep down, you sense something is wrong. You've seen the cracks in the system. You've heard the whispers about hidden agendas. Yet, despite everything, you still comply. Why? This isn't because you're weak. This isn't because you're unaware. No, the truth is more unsettling. You are being controlled without force, without violence, and without even knowing it. You've been taught to believe that power can only control through force, that it requires oppression, chains, and soldiers standing guard. But there's a darker, more insidious form of control at play, the kind that doesn't require the threat of violence, the kind that makes you willingly comply, all while you think you are free. This is the silent control that philosophers like Karl Marx understood. Marx didn't just see power as something imposed from the outside. He saw it as something woven into the fabric of society, something that gets into your mind and tells you how to think, what to desire, and what to fear. What if everything you believe about the world, your choices, your desires, and even your sense of identity, all of it, to some extent, has been influenced by invisible forces? What if power doesn't just control you by the things you can see, but by the things you can't even feel? Let's break this down. The power of ideology first. Let's talk about ideology. We are all born into a set of beliefs and values that we take for granted. We inherit them from our families, from our culture, from the media, from the education system. But what if those beliefs, those values, aren't really ours? What if they were planted in us by a system designed to control our thoughts without us ever realizing it? Marx was deeply concerned with how ideology shapes society. He argued that the ruling class controls not only the material resources of the world, but also the very ideas that people hold. These ideas, or what Marx called the superstructure, help to justify the way things are. For example, we live in a world where a few people control most of the wealth, while the majority struggles to make ends meet. Yet, we're taught to believe that this is the natural order, that this is the way things should be. The system doesn't need to physically oppress you. It just needs to convince you that the status quo is inevitable, that the way things are is how they were always meant to be. It molds your desires, telling you what to want, what to need, and even who to love. The idea that you can be free becomes a hollow illusion, the illusion of choice. Take a moment and think about your life. The choices you make every day, from the clothes you wear, to the job you have, to the products you buy. How much of your choice is truly your own, and how much of it has been influenced by external forces? Consider advertising, for example. It's not just selling you a product, it's selling you a lifestyle, an identity, a way of thinking. When you buy that phone, those shoes, that car, are you choosing those things because they truly serve you? Or are you choosing them because you've been convinced that you need them to be happy, successful, and important? This is what Marx meant by false consciousness. It's the idea that the working class and all of us, in fact, are conditioned to believe that what we want is what we really want, when in reality our desires have been shaped by those who benefit from them. It's not about overt control. It's about shaping desires in such a way that you don't even realize you're being manipulated. The subtlety of power. The scariest part of all this is that power no longer needs to wield a sword or a gun. It doesn't need a dictator sitting in a throne, making orders. Today, power operates through the subtle manipulation of culture, values, and ideas. It controls the narratives we tell ourselves. It tells us what success looks like, what beauty is, what a good life should be. But here's where it gets even more sinister. Power doesn't just influence you by shaping what you want. It also shapes how you see yourself. The very lens through which you view the world is a construct. Your identity, your personality, your dreams, all of them have been shaped by external forces, by the expectations and norms of the society you live in. You may think you are an individual, a free agent, making independent choices. But in reality, your sense of self has been shaped by forces far beyond your control. This is what Nietzsche was talking about when he warned against the herd. He saw how individuals could be swept up in the desires of the collective, losing their sense of individuality and following the path laid out for them by society. The herd doesn't need a leader with a whip. It follows its own impulses, conditioned over time, without ever questioning them. Economic control, the root of everything, but it's not just ideology or social norms that control us. At the root of it all is economic control. Marx argued that all forms of societal control are ultimately tied to the control of resources. The rich and powerful aren't just manipulating culture or ideas. They control the means of production, the factories, the land, the money. They control the economy, and through the economy, they control everything else. Think about the cycle you're caught in. You sell your labor to make a living. You spend your earnings on products that you didn't create. These products are created by others who also need to sell their labor, keeping the cycle of labor and consumption going. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You can't escape this cycle. Not entirely. Sure, you can make different choices. You can live more consciously. But at the end of the day, you are still operating within a system that dictates the terms of your existence. The rich control the land, the capital, and the opportunities. The rest of us are left chasing after scraps, trying to climb a ladder that only a few can ever reach the top of. The revolt of the mind. So what do? How do we break free of this invisible control? It starts with recognizing that we are controlled, that we are not as free as we think we are. Understanding that power is more subtle, more pervasive, and more hidden than we realize is the first step. This is the revolution of the mind. It's about questioning everything you've been taught to believe. It's about unlearning the biases, the assumptions, and the narratives that have been passed down to you. But even more importantly, it's about recognizing your own role in maintaining the system. The system doesn't need to use force because it has already won. It has convinced you that you're a willing participant. It has made you complicit in your own oppression. And the hardest part is realizing that you are, in fact, part of the system. You, like everyone else, are playing your part in this grand game of control. Conclusion: the price of freedom. We are all born into a system that shapes our desires, our thoughts, and even our dreams. The question is, what do you do once you know that? The price of freedom is awareness. The price of autonomy is the willingness to question everything you believe. Power controls you not by force, but by shaping your very understanding of the world. It is invisible, but it is everywhere. The question is, will you ever see it for what it is? The choice ultimately is yours. The power is in your hands if you're brave enough to take it.